Hi there, this is Lee McQueen, and I'm speaking once more on this election season and the way it's going and has gone. And I just wanted to say that part of the reason why I do feel that Hillary Clinton has much to be held accountable for is the fact that not only has she attacked fellow politicians and fellow heads of state, dropping bombs on their countries for her own reasons. But she has a long history of attacking ordinary citizens, people of the United States. We're not talking about civilians in the Middle East that had bombs dropped on them, which was itself an egregious attack, but also the citizens of this country. She has been consistently attacking people of this nation for decades, and people seem to always go back to that default, oh, poor Hillary, it's because she's a woman meme that's been perpetrated by the media and by Hillary Clinton over and over till it almost makes you sick. That anytime someone actually runs that line of thought, there's cries of sexism all over the place. And I still reject that. I mean, there's probably sexism, but some of that sexism is from Hillary Clinton against her enemies. So I think it's about equal. But anyway, half, yeah, half of the citizens of this nation are women. Young, old, multiracial, this race, that race, this religion, that religion, this class, that class. Um, Her attacks have been harmful to the women of this country, at least half the population, maybe slightly more than half. And people still seem to either one not believe it, or if they believe it, they don't care. But it's there. It exists. It's factual. It's not something made up. It's public record. It's provable, and it exists. So believe it or not, don't care about it or not, there is going to be an accounting. When that is, no one knows, but there is going to be an accounting. And we're basically, for those of you who do not believe it, we're discussing a woman who was considered too unethical to sit on a committee to research and investigate Richard Nixon's impeachment. She had to step down. She was asked to leave. She's fired or whatever the wording is, but she was told to step away because she was unethical in her dealings, even way back then. So there's a long history. We're talking about attempting to disqualify black voters in Southside Chicago for Barry Goldwater, the pro-segregationist. We're talking about a woman who laughed at a child's rapist beating a polygraph. This is way back when. We're talking about a woman who threatened and silenced victims of Bill Clinton's sexual harassment and assault and rape. This is who we're talking about. It's a long history, and it just goes on through the years. And now we're in 2016, and we see that the attacks against the citizens of the United States, half of which are women, have continued. But I'm going to get to that. I'm just going to go back and relate it, and it's going to get repeated even as much as mainstream media is glorifying Hillary Clinton, saying what a great opportunity to have a female president she is. We're going to repeat things too until you get it through your head. There's issues, and there's an accounting, and that needs to be taken seriously here. NAFTA, the trade agreement that she lobbied for, was harmful to at least half the women in the United States. The working women in the United States, the working class, had their jobs snatched away. Hillary got rich off that because the corporations that benefited from NAFTA rewarded her financially. 1994 crime bill. Not half the women in the United States, but a significant number of women in the United States were incarcerated not because they were drug takers or even drug dealers, but that they were girlfriends, wives, sisters, daughters of men who were. And they may have refused to turn on their husband or their boyfriend, and they were incarcerated too. They were taken away from their children, their families. That emotional damage that was done to the people that they left behind is irreparable. There's no reward high enough to justify that. And again, these women weren't the actual criminals. They weren't the targets. It was just they were collateral damage. And they were also taken from their homes, taken from society. They had no means to recover their lives once they were released because they had that felony charge. That's the harm that Hillary's lobbying has done to women way back in the 90s. We can keep going forward. Welfare reform. We spoke of these women who were hustled into jail. They came back out of society if they're not still serving their sentence, but they're back in society. Can they get any type of assistance on social services to get back on their feet after they were denied ability to get an education? They lost income and they can't get jobs because of that mark on they have to do on their employment application of felony. Okay, so can they get social services like food stamps or housing or anything? No, welfare reform. So that's what Hillary Clinton has done with her lobbying efforts. And now she wants to bring Bill Clinton back, the one who enacted all these policies successfully with Hillary Clinton's help, to run the economy again. The peace and prosperity that they brought us. Yay! I think the ones who prospered during that period are Bill and Hillary Clinton. They were rewarded financially. Hillary Clinton has enjoyed years of donations from the prison lobby who are still benefiting from the crime bill. Okay, we can keep going forward. The Iraq War, her vote for the Iraq War sent women in uniform overseas. And we've heard stories of how some of these women lost their lives, were mutilated, lost limbs. Some were treated very badly if captured by the enemy. Post-traumatic stress, etc. They're veterans, trying to get veterans benefits, still suffering the after effects of war, which Tulsi Gabbard has told us about over and over, the high cost of war. Hillary voted for that, didn't really care, just said, well, you know what, this is good for my political standing, so these women can go and fight. Chelsea's not going to fight because, she doesn't have to. She's rich like me, but your daughters are going to fight. That's Hillary Clinton who made those decisions. We can keep going forward. Patriot Act. Hillary Clinton voted for it not once, but twice, and it was a violation of citizen privacy, privacy of women, privacy of men, privacy of everyone. Not once, but twice she voted for that. Trans-Pacific Partnership. Here we go. This is NAFTA on a different level. It's a massive deregulation bill. It's harmful to the environment, human rights, labor standards, wages, unions, you name it. This thing is about to just crush it all down. You thought NAFTA was hard. Trans-Pacific Partnership is just nearly going to be unrecoverable. Hillary Clinton is involved with crafting that agreement. Barack Obama is trying to conceal her involvement, the level of it. We know that she's involved because she has spoken positively of it in the past, the way that she spoke positively of NAFTA. But we don't know the very deep, dark, criminal depths of her involvement with the Trans-Pacific Partnership until we can see all the emails involved from TPP from the State Department, which Barack Obama has been concealing. Right now, we think, well, she spoke highly of it and that's about it. No, that's not it. There's more. And so that's why we want those emails. There's a Freedom of Information Act request. But Barack Obama has been delaying the release of that information until after the general election. he is actively suppressing involvement of Hillary Clinton, the level of her involvement, until after the general election. So we know that she spoke highly of it. We know that she was for it before she was against it. But there are things that we don't know that we need to. And if there's nothing to it, then why is Barack hiding it? I mean, Barack Obama, why is he hiding it? We need to know. So through the years, all this harm caused to men and women, but I'm specifically focusing on women because we keep hearing her call everyone else a sexist, but she's not acknowledging the harm she has caused to other women and to children. When she damaged those women through the years, she ended up damaging their children too, since they were primary caretakers. So this brings us up to election 2016. Hillary Clinton's machine, and let's just say Hillary Clinton, since she's running her machine, took full advantage to the sunset of the Voting Rights Act in 2013. We thought it was the Republicans we had to fear with the end of the Voting Rights Act. No, it was actually Hillary Clinton who took full advantage of the end of the Voting Rights Act to attack the citizens of the United States this entire primary season. We can just name off on our fingers the amount of vote fraud and suppression and rigging and purging that happened, the switching of poll sites, the shutting down of poll sites, all of that served to disenfranchise millions who wanted to cast votes. And so there's going to be an accounting for that too. But let's even go back even further to the acquisition of the superdelegates. Again, Hillary Clinton took full advantage of available means to disenfranchise the citizens of the United States. If there was a way to disenfranchise, she and her machine employed that means to do it. The superdelegates, many of whom have chosen to endorse Hillary Clinton against the will of the people in their state, if their states voted for Bernie Sanders by an overwhelming margin, and we just go by the country, go state by state around the country. There's 22 states that Bernie Sanders won. There might be 23 if he ends up flipping California. But look at the superdelegates of those states that Bernie Sanders won. They voted, or no, they haven't voted yet, but they announced their intentions to vote against the citizens in their states to endorse Hillary Clinton. And why is that? Hillary has provided them financial rewards for doing that. She bought superdelegates. She used her Hillary Victory Fund to reward certain Democrat National Committee or Democrat state parties and committees. In exchange for that, the superdelegates endorsed for her against the will of their people. So that was just another method of disenfranchisement. We can keep going. The use of child pornography on certain Facebook pages that were for Bernie Sanders. They were pro-Bernie Sanders Facebook pages. Hillary Clinton's machine posted child pornography and then reported those pages to get them shut down. It was an attack. And my thinking is, has anyone been arrested? Where did that child pornography come from? Where did those children come from? Whose children are those that Hillary Clinton's machine used to attack Bernie Sanders' Facebook pages? Was there any arrest? And my question is that because Facebook gathers quite a sizable amount of data from the users. Facebook knows who posted that on their pages, and I'd like to know, were there any arrests, or was that just okay with everyone? So this Correct the Record Super PAC, Hillary Clinton employed their services to harass, bully, intimidate citizens who were pro-Bernie Sanders. They got online and started stalking different social media users and harassing them and intimidating them and attempting to drive them towards Hillary Clinton or attempting to discourage them from voting at all. that's Hillary Clinton fighting for the people. And then also the smears, use the vicious smears used through the mainstream media, which Hillary Clinton is an expert. She's an expert at manipulating mainstream media and using propaganda as a weapon. She used media to tear down Bill Clinton's sexual harassment victims and rape victims. She used media to do that. And so she's been using media all along. Anytime someone tries to hold her accountable for anything at all, she turns to the media and uses the media to attack that person um, or that organization that's trying to hold her accountable. And so the thing is, she might have reached too high finally, after everything else that she's done. It's coming to a head. It's starting to pile up so deep that it's unmistakable. No matter how much mainstream media has tried to shield Hillary Clinton from her crimes and her attacks and her fiendish and vicious methods for silencing dissent, there's been a breakthrough. People are fighting back. That firewall is not holding. It's going to crumble. It's coming. There are federal lawsuits going forward against Hillary Clinton for all these methods she used to attack the citizens of the United States this primary season. It's not Bernie Sanders, because Bernie Sanders wasn't the victim. He's not the one who tried to vote at the polls. It was the citizens who tried to go to the polls that found themselves purged and disappeared off the voting rolls, or they found their party affiliations switched without their permission through forged documents and signatures. They found their polling sites closed and no clue of where to go because they were switched also or closed down. They found their ballots. They were not given the proper ballots. They were forced to vote with a provisional ballot, or they were told by poll workers that they didn't have sufficient identification. All kinds of methods were used to attack the civil rights of these people, half of which were women. So Hillary Clinton has no problem attacking women if it serves her purposes. She's been doing it. She's been doing it for years, for decades. So that's no problem for her, and I do not believe that she should be excused for that. So anyway, the voters are the ones who were victimized by Hillary Clinton, by the secretaries of state, by poll workers. I mean, we had Bill Clinton illegally electioneering at a poll site in Boston on vote day. He had his Secret Service shut that poll site down so people couldn't vote. That's, the type of disenfranchisement that we're speaking of. And all of these stories, and there's multiple stories state by state, at least 11 states, where this activity for sure occurred. It might have occurred in other states, but for sure, in 11 states it did. So I'm thinking those 3 million votes, they came from somewhere. They were stolen. Those delegates, stolen from the people of the United States. Those superdelegates, they were purchased. And I'm going to have in the description a list of the particular Democrat state parties that were beneficiaries of the Hillary Victory Fund. And then you can check yourself the superdelegate list, when and why and where and what for, and for how much the superdelegates of those states that got that money from Hillary Clinton, why they endorsed for her over the will of the people in their state. So that's why I'm saying, even with the subtle intimidation that we've seen of the FBI, who's attempting to hold Hillary Clinton accountable for her activities at the State Department, and then also the Clinton Foundation, why it's all coming to a head this election season. It's just gotten it's gone too far. Too many people have been harmed by her activities over the years, and it must stop. Because if she ends up being the Democrat nominee, and if she ends up being the occupant at the White House, Is it going to get worse or is it going to get better? That's the question you should ask yourself. And you should be thanking God that the FBI is attempting to bring some justice.